Saluting our heroes, a debt of gratitude. They swore an oath to protect and serve. They put their lives on the line, facing dangers most of us can only imagine. They defended our freedoms with unwavering courage. Our veterans are heroes, plain and simple. Their bravery and dedication are beyond measure. They deserve our utmost respect and gratitude for their service and sacrifice. Their commitment to our nation is unparalleled. They've endured hardships most of us can't even fathom. The physical and emotional toll is immense. They've witnessed the horrors of war, scenes that haunt them long after the battles have ended. They've returned home forever changed, carrying the weight of their experiences with them. But sadly, America has a shameful secret. We're failing many of these brave men and women. Our heroes are being neglected. Too many veterans who risked everything for our country are left struggling to survive on the streets. This is unacceptable. They find themselves in a battle here at home, a battle against homelessness, poverty, and despair. This is a crisis that demands our attention. This isn't just a national disgrace, it's a moral outrage. We must act now. It's time to confront this issue head-on. We need to come together as a nation to support our veterans. We must do more to support those who have given so much for us. Our veterans deserve better. We owe it to them, to their service, and to the ideals they fought to protect. Their sacrifices should never be forgotten. Let's honor their sacrifices by ensuring they have the support and security they deserve. It's the least we can do. Let's work together to bring our heroes home. Together, we can make a difference. The shocking reality: homelessness amongst veterans. The numbers are staggering, and frankly, they're bloody unacceptable. On any given night in America, tens of thousands of veterans are experiencing homelessness. Let me repeat that. Tens of thousands of people who put their lives on the line for this country are sleeping on the streets. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, in 2023, over 37,000 veterans were homeless on a single night. Think about that for a second. That's more than the entire population of some small towns. These aren't just statistics. These are human beings. These are mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, friends and neighbors. They deserve better. We can't ignore this crisis any longer. It's time to take action. It's time to get these heroes off the streets and into safe, supportive housing. The scars of service, unpacking the causes. So, how do we get to this point? How do we reach a situation where those who served their country end up on the streets? Why are so many veterans ending up homeless? What are the underlying causes that lead to such a tragic outcome? Well, it's a complicated issue with no easy answers. The reasons are multifaceted and deeply intertwined. It's like trying to untangle a giant, depressing ball of yarn. Each thread represents a different challenge or obstacle. But one thing's for sure, homelessness among veterans is rarely caused by just one factor. It's a combination of many issues. It's often a perfect storm of challenges, many stemming directly from their time in service. These can include physical injuries, mental health issues, and more. PTSD, for example, can be a major hurdle. The trauma experienced during service can haunt veterans for years. Imagine coming home from war, haunted by traumatic memories, unable to sleep, struggling to connect with loved ones. The isolation can be overwhelming.
Then there's the issue of substance abuse. Many veterans turn to drugs or alcohol as a way to cope with their invisible wounds. Many veterans turn to drugs or alcohol to cope with the invisible wounds of war. This can lead to a downward spiral. And let's not forget about the lack of affordable housing and support systems for veterans transitioning back to civilian life. The safety net is often not there. The transition itself can be incredibly difficult. Veterans often struggle to find their place in a world that feels alien to them. They go from a structured environment with clear purpose to a world that can feel chaotic and uncertain. The lack of direction can be disorienting. It's a recipe for disaster. Without the right support, the challenges can become insurmountable, leading to homelessness.
Section 4. Voices from the Streets, Stories of Struggle and Resilience. Now, I could throw more statistics at you, but numbers can only tell you so much. They fail to capture the real, raw emotions and the daily struggles these veterans face. To truly understand the impact of this crisis, we need to hear from the veterans themselves. Their voices bring to light the harsh realities that statistics often mask. Take for instance Sarah, a former Army medic who served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Her story is one of bravery, sacrifice, and unfortunately, profound struggle. She returned home suffering from PTSD and a severe back injury. These invisible wounds made it nearly impossible for her to reintegrate into civilian life. Unable to work and struggling to navigate the VA system, Sarah found herself living on the streets. Her story is a stark reminder of the gaps in our support systems.
I felt so lost, so alone. It was as if my service and sacrifices had been forgotten. I had given so much for my country and I felt like I was invisible. The sense of abandonment was overwhelming.
Then there's Michael, a former Marine who struggled with addiction after returning from Iraq. His journey is equally heart-wrenching. He ended up homeless, estranged from his family, and utterly hopeless. The battle he faced at home was just as fierce as the one abroad.
I thought my life was over. The weight of my experiences and the lack of support crushed me. I thought I was a burden to everyone. The sense of despair was all-consuming.
These are just two stories out of thousands. Each veteran has a unique yet equally compelling narrative. Each one is a stark reminder of the human cost of this crisis. We must listen, understand, and act to make a difference. Section 5. A helping hand organizations offering support. The good news, if you can call it that, is that there are organizations out there working tirelessly to combat veteran homelessness. Groups like the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans and the Volunteers of America are providing vital services, from housing assistance to job training to mental health care.
These organizations are literally lifelines for struggling veterans. They offer a glimmer of hope in the darkest of times. They provide shelter, food, counseling, and most importantly, a sense of community. They understand the unique challenges veterans face, and they're dedicated to helping them get back on their feet.
But here's the catch, these organizations can't do it alone. They rely heavily on donations, volunteers, and public support. That's where we come in. Section 6. Answering the call, our duty to our veterans. We can't just sit back and let this crisis continue. We have a moral obligation to support those who have served our country. We can't call ourselves a grateful nation if we're willing to let our veterans sleep on the streets. So what can you do? Well, for starters, you can support those organizations I mentioned earlier. Donate your time, your money, or your voice. Volunteer at a local shelter, organize a fundraiser, or simply spread the word about this issue. Contact your elected officials and demand they prioritize veteran homelessness. Let's honor our veterans' sacrifices by ensuring they have a roof over their heads, access to healthcare, and the support they need to rebuild their lives. Let's show them that their service and sacrifice haven't been forgotten. Let's bring our heroes home.